Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
This begins the first of a 15-part series we're going to be doing about the mysteries, which is one of the most mysterious parts of praying the rosary, and also one of the most exciting and rich and endlessly rewarding. This is how we really enter into a very deep conversation with the lady. It is not a program of Christian indoctrination. And that's not how we're going to be treating it. So we want to talk about the difference between stepping into mystery versus stepping into belief. We're going to be stepping into mystery tonight.
Hmm.
And what we want to do is we're going to give 1 week for every mystery. But we also want to teach you how to begin to play and pray with the mysteries yourself. Because once you begin doing that, then we all start to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And that's when things get really fun and really exciting. So I'm going to post some pictures in a few moments when Clark gets started. But we want to talk about the sort of way to work with the mysteries. There are 15 of them. 5 joyous mysteries, 5 sorrowful mysteries, and 5 mysteries of resurrection and rebirth. And typically what we do is when we pray our rosary, we announce the mystery either out loud if we're saying out loud with friends or to ourselves in our hearts. And then we say the Our Father and 10 Hail Marys and a Glory Be. And then we announce the next mystery. And we keep going like that until we do a full circle. So that's just the practicality of it. But what you do with the mystery inside of those 10 Hail Marys is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
But in order to play with the mysteries, you have to know them. But you have to know them not be frightened of knowing them. And Clark and I were thinking about it today, like what is the 3-step process we go through? 1, you need to know the details of the mystery. Really know it, because they're very often quite surprising.
Yeah. And some of those details, are scriptural. I mean, come from the storyline that we have provided in the scripture. And some of it's extra scriptural, or what they call uh, Bible plus, right? They're legends, they're hidden in the art. There's all kinds of, each of these 15 mysteries have been endlessly reproduced in works of art and reimagined by a lot of different people.
And for the
So,
first rosary prayers, they would not have learned the mysteries from the Bible.
no,
Nobody was reading the Bible prior to the printing press. Even the priests didn't know it very well. In fact, that was one of the criticisms in the Reformation, is that they didn't know the Bible.
priests don't know it very well today. But
But they knew the pictures, they knew the
yeah,
art. And rosary books were picture books. And in those pictures, a lot of lore could be hidden and a lot could be played with. So the first thing you have to know is know the details of the mystery that we're looking at. Really know what's going on in there. Explore it a little bit. Then you need to know the extra stuff, the lore and the legends behind it, because it
yeah,
starts to open up.
yeah,
And then the third thing is you have to begin to trust your own heart and your own intuition and your own imagination, because the rosary, they're like story prompts for our own story. They're going to take us on a journey that's a new way of telling our own story and telling the story of our planet.
yeah. And we are invited by the Rosary to be our own, sort of channel our own inner Michelangelo, right,
Yeah.
or Da Vinci, right? I mean, we may not be, most of us skilled with a brush or pen, right? But through our imaginations, we can flesh out these scenes and imagine them in great, great detail and nuance. We can discover things through our imaginations that, secrets that are often hidden in plain view. Quite a lot of those in
And that
the
are coming directly
Annunciation.
from the lady to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I will hear people leading us through the mysteries on the phone calls and go, wow, I never thought of that before. And that happens every
Hmm.
week.
And the rhythm of the Rosary itself, of the Our Father, the 10 Hail Marys, and the Glory Be, is sort of perfectly designed to tease you out of your ordinary ways of thinking and to place you in a place where your intuition and your ability to enter into conversation with the ancestors is greatly enhanced.
So I'm just going to repeat it again because it's really important. The rosaries aren't telling you what to believe. They're telling you what's inside your own heart.
Yeah, yeah, and inviting you, as we often say, the rosary is a story that invites you to tell your story. Well, the 15 mysteries are the 15 chapters of that story that invites us to tell our story.
So we're going to start with chapter 1,
Yeah,
which is the Annunciation. And what we're going to do is Clark is going to tell you the story, because everyone, you should know it, where
yeah.
it comes from, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm going to tell you the lore and legends and lore about that story. And then we're both going to play, and you guys are going to play in the comments.
Yeah.
And keep on playing, I hope.
So there's a lot here. So I'm going to give you a thumbnail sketch, and we will probably keep going on this thread after the video post itself closes and continue to talk about this and discuss it. There's a lot there, too much to cover in a mere 30 minutes. But the story is that the Angel Gabriel comes to Mary. She's called a virgin, but really that just means Parthenos. It's a Greek term that means that she is independent. She's not obliged to any man. She's not married. Okay, she is sexually, creatively, procreatively independent, free agent. And the angel comes and greets her with the first part of the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. So that's where the Hail Mary comes from, is from this event. This is the foundational event. This is where the story begins. And Mary says, and then he says, you'll be overshadowed by the Most High, and the Spirit will come, and if you will, you can have a child. She's being told that she can have a child independently, basically, without a husband. There's no talk of betrothal. There's no, mention of Joseph or any of that. She's being asked, is she willing to do this? And she says that she will. She's shocked at first. And
How
but then
can this
she
be, she
agrees. How
says?
can this be?
How can
She
this
says.
happen? This is a miracle.
I don't have a lover. I don't have a man. I don't have a husband, she says. So, and then the angel, sort of outlines for her how it shall happen, and then says, and at the very end of the episode says, and oh, by the way, your cousin Elizabeth, who's quite old, has never been able to conceive, she's also pregnant. And then immediately it shifts to the next mystery. But that's the basic story. The angel comes, in art, he's often shown going down on one knee, and he says, Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum. Okay, that was the Latin Hail Mary throughout much of the Middle Ages. Just that. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
Now, the church, sort of after the Reformation, when you see the Reformation and the Counter-Reformation were really an attempt to minimize Mary.
Yeah.
And, the Protestants got rid of her. They beheaded statues, burned statues. They got rid of the Hail Mary. They got rid of all the Marian goddess worship. And then in the Counter-Reformation, the Catholic Church tries to, we're going to get rid of Mary even better.
Yeah.
Everyone's always trying to get rid of Mary.
Yeah.
But before they do that, this is a really interesting, we're beginning the rosary with a teenage girl. We don't know how old she is.
Yeah.
But she's a teenager. She's one of these, Greta Thunberg types.
Yeah.
And she's a powerhouse. Legend has it that she was a weaver. She'd been a student at the temple. That sometimes legend has it that she was weaving the cloth for the Holy Sacrament.
Well, she was weaving the yarn for the veil at the temple in Jerusalem. She was one of the temple virgins, according to the proto-evangelium of James, which is one of the non-canonical, strictly canonical scriptures. It's very, very old, almost.
And she's weaving, which is one of the things goddesses did. They're weavers, they're spiders, they're the fates. She's there in her goddess.
Yeah. And by the way, the only reason why anyone would have listened to this story in first century Rome, in Athens and Greece, and any of the places where Christianity first traveled, the only reason anyone would have listened to this story was because it started here with a Parthenos, with a virgin. They expected this to be the way the story started. A goddess gives birth to a son, or she marries a lover who is like her consort. And this
So
is where the story begins. It has to begin here. It has to begin with the mother.
has to begin with the mother goddess, has to begin with the Parthenos,
Otherwise, pagans would have all rejected it.
the worshippers of Isis, the
Yeah.
worshippers of Demeter and in
So it was a
Artemis.
familiar story to them, and they
Yeah, we know the
understood that the
story.
Virgin Mary was a powerful agent in her own right. Everyone who first read the scriptures would have understood this implicitly.
Now, here's the really interesting thing. One of the things that we sort of hear about this story is Mary I used to knew a Catholic man who always said, Mary said yes. She was a good girl. She was obedient. She didn't disobey her father when he gave her a job. And then it's
Yeah,
sort of like she consents to some kind of weird rape by
yeah,
God to
yeah. Some
carry.
sort of Lady of the Swan type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
not that.
that's not what's going
No,
on.
not at
Because
all.
the word for Holy Spirit, that which is going to conceive life within her, is ruach. It's a Hebrew word, Ruach, ruach, and it means breath, life, and it's a feminine word.
Right.
It's the divine feminine.
And oftentimes in the art of the period, and much of the art of the Middle Ages was devoted to not just to the themes of the Rosary, to its 15 mysteries, but specifically to this mystery. The Annunciation is one of the most popular themes of all medieval art. And you often would see a dove descending, right? And the Spirit descending in the form of a dove, uh, uh, above Mary's head, often in the presence of the
And
angel.
people say, oh, that dove is God, coming to inseminate her. No, the dove is a symbol of the goddess.
Yeah.
Mary is
Sacred to
stepping
Aphrodite.
Mary is stepping in to her role as the mother goddess.
Hmm.
This is the moment this incarnate being says, oh, I'm it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the avatar. I'm her.
Okay, we're going to go really, really big. And then we're going to go as big as you can get. Encoded in this story is the dance of Sol and Luna, or the dance of the sun and the earth, of sunlight and soil. And oftentimes, as well in paintings of the Annunciation, you see a beam of light coming through a high window and striking Mary or the space directly in front of her, sometimes even shining into her womb. So she is literally being fertilized by the spring sunlight, just as the earth is fertilized and renewed and regenerated by the spring light every year. So this is a very, very old story. This is a story that's as old as it gets.
And, we're going to take this as a jumping off point to talk about, we've given you the story. We've given you some of the extra details around the story. Somebody was saying today, what book do I read to really get into some of this goddess lore today? Your bibliography is so long.
All of them are not.
No, I suggested The Heart of the Goddess by
Oh, okay.
Jules Cashford
Oh,
and
okay.
Anne
Yeah,
Baring,
that's a
because
wonderful.
it's a
Yeah,
really good way to
yeah,
begin to get some of this Bible
yeah.
plus stuff, some of the
Right.
extra. And the people in the Middle Ages would have known all of
It
this.
was
And
all Bible plus.
it was all, they knew the legends
Yeah.
and the stories and
They
the
knew the
artwork.
art, the legend, the folk tales, everything.
So he had the story, and the childhood riddle, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Where does life come from? The mother or the child?
Yeah.
The Rosary answers that question and says, Mama comes first. What comes before God? God's mother, the mother of God. Someone recently on the Way of Rose did the Catholic trick recently. He's not there anymore, but of saying, mother of God just means she was an empty vessel ready to carry God within her, just, a woman chosen for this divine
A
purpose.
stainless steel vat.
Yeah, stainless steel vat. Yeah, right. No, she's not empty. She's full
Yeah.
of grace.
Yeah.
She's like the soil and the water. She's those
Full of life. She's
And imagine where life begins on earth. There's water, that blue veil of Mary that surrounds the earth. There's water, and there's dirt. There's the beginning of rock and soil. And suddenly all you need is the sunlight comes on those tidal pools. And suddenly the yellow golden sunlight, that blue water, starts to create green algae.
yeah.
Life begins. Life begins out of the body of the mother. And she decides and chooses to bring forth life.
And really, she is, one way of understanding this Parthenos, this virgin, is like a virgin forest. This is like permaculture. This is a self-fertilizing planet that all it takes, absolutely the only thing that comes to Earth that Earth needs is sunlight. Everything else is there. The seed of life, everything that perpetuates life. Our Lady is occasionally referred to God as the great regulator. And just as the sun calibrates the seasons, right, and offers a kind of a structure for the dance of life, birth and death and renewal, seasonal cycles, there is that sense that drama is being set in motion in the story of the Annunciation.
But the Annunciation is also something that happens to every single one of us. We're all giving birth to our own lives.
Constantly.
We're giving birth to works of art. We're giving birth to our own actual children. We're giving birth to who we're going to become. Our Lady once said, I've planted a seed in all of your hearts. And there's a moment where we can feel that seed within us. I've often said, the Lady isn't consenting to give birth. She wants to give birth.
Yeah.
This is her heart's desire. And it's a little scary. It's like when we say, when we're starting the novena today, what do I want? It's terrifying to admit the truth of it.
Yeah.
And the thing, and here we go extra biblical again. When Mary says yes, she's a Jewish woman in the turn of the millennium. There she is. What does it mean for her to say yes to have a baby out of wedlock? Well, it means she can be stoned to death in her community. That's really important to know. She's not saying yes in some obedient, good girl way. She is defying the misogyny of patriarchy with this act.
And moreover, as we're going to see in all of the mysteries, she acts courageously. There's really no the sort of meek and modest Mary of really the modern Catholic Church. That Mary did not exist prior to the modern age. And
this girl is a Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
She's a Greta Thunberg. She's that teenage girl who doesn't know she can't do it and says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to change the world.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do something. I don't care if I don't want a husband. I don't need a husband. I'm doing this. It's maybe daunting. She may be scared, but she steps into that. She steps into the mystery. And so the question becomes for us in this moment, what are our moments of Annunciation? When are we called to do things that frighten us, that may not go with the program that we're being offered, and yet we want to do so badly? What are they? What is our Annunciation today?
Yeah, and the Rosary is dynamic. The Rosary is movement. The Rosary is like a carousel, right? The Rosary is a spinning top. It's a circle. It's constantly moving. I mean, we move it, by it's like a children's toy. Sometimes we say we move it by moving the beads through our fingers and by moving our lips, right? We move around the circle. But the moment we begin to recite these mysteries and these prayers together and to engage with them in a really heartfelt, personal way, we begin to set in motion sometimes things that have been areas of our lives that have stalled for years, right? Sometimes, we discover desires we didn't even know we had. We discover a truth or a mission.
I've seen it again
and
again.
Deferred for years.
And we're going to talk a little personally about our own moments of Annunciation now and show people how we do that. Because, there's this moment when you go, I'll never forget, it was a really big moment for us that Clark had written Waking Up to the Dark. And I'd helped him a great deal with it. And great deal.
I wrote all the sentences, every one except maybe one.
No, I wrote the first sentence.
Oh, you wrote the first. That's true. You wrote the first sentence. I wrote all the other sentences in the book. She arranged every single sentence in the book.
But I had this moment
where the writer, the weaver?
We worked together and we wrote the proposal for Way of the Rose, but the proposal went off to the editor with Clark's name on it because he's the author and the editor of Tricycle and the Boppity Bug guy. And I said,
the Boppity Bug guy.
And I said, no. I'm writing this book. I'm doing this. I want this so bad. Now, that's going to be a 7-year audacious journey for me. And it was really important. That was my Annunciation moment. We were up on Cape Cod, actually. A friend had lent us her house. And we were writing a proposal. And I looked at Clark and said, yeah, I'm not doing this for free anymore. My name's on this book. I'm
Well, but
going for broke.
and I think and honestly, my Annunciation moment was related to that because it was the moment of really looking at writing a book on the road. I could write a book on darkness. Okay, I mean, by the time I finished doing the research for Waking Up to the Dark, I was pretty confident that I understood the subject matter as well as anyone. But the rosary is just it's the subject of most medieval art. It's old, it's huge, it's vast, it's the most popular spiritual devotion in the world. Who could possibly know enough to write a book about the rosary, especially the kind of book we wanted to write? And I quickly realized that there was no way that one person could do this and that I didn't have the skills to do it. So we had to partner together. We had to do that dance.
We have Annunciation moments all the time. There are moments when we conceive of an idea, we have an aha moment. And then the next moment, I'm going to write about this in my novena postings, but, what do I have to do to claim my life?
Hmm.
What do I have to do to claim my life? What do I have to do to claim my day? Sometimes it's what do I have to do to claim my hour. Sometimes we have to have an Annunciation second. I mean, I think certainly during this time of quarantine, there are challenges each day to
Yeah.
claim the day,
Yeah.
to step into it with courage, to step into it as in our own lives, not by some external idea of what our lives are supposed to
And
look like.
the word Annunciation basically means an announcement, right? An angel comes and makes an announcement, right? A greeting. And there's tremendous power in word and in prayer, and the words that we speak. We can get behind those words. We can form a novena petition and then pray for that for 54 days straight, and that becomes the annunciation or the announcement of a vision, right? Of a hope, of a dream.
I mean, if you want to go read the most inspiring thing I've read in, I don't know, years, it's people's novena petitions on the new Way
Oh
of the
yeah,
Rose 54-day community
unbelievable.
group. And people taking the courage to say, no, this is it. This is the moment. This
Yeah,
is the moment I say, I want this. I
yeah.
want this for my life. I want to do this. I want to solve this. I want to step in. And it's such an act of courage.
It really is. And now is the time. I mean, now is the moment when I think a lot of people around the world are saying to themselves, if not now, when? Right? If not now, when?
Are you doing the work you most want to be doing from your heart? Are you,
Are you?
quarantined with the people you most want to be with? Yes. I am.
The cats are getting on my nerves.
Cats never get on my nerves.
Well, they don't wake you up.
We don't have enough cats. That's the problem. And we don't.
Boy,
Clark is the only thing. It's a thin line between me and crazy cat lady.
I
Just so
really
you know.
am. I really am.
But yeah, and I think we have to let our Annunciation. It occurs for us every novena. It occurs for us every morning, and then we're recognized for we bring forth that divinity from within us.
Mm.
That's what she's doing. Miriam of whatever, because we have different ideas of who she is.
The
Miriam,
Lady of Miriam.
Miriam's suddenly becomes. She steps into her role as Isis. She steps into her role as Inanna. She steps into her role as Freya and Bridget to bring life into this world.
Right.
And there are young people right now claiming that power every moment, everywhere we look.
And one of the things I think that we tend to I mean, I don't think we take it for granted. I think a lot of people who are raised with the rosary sort of take the rosary for granted. But those of us who come to it to pray for our heart's desire, especially those who aren't Catholic or who may have been Catholic or drifted away from it, and claim the rosary as a way of claiming Our Lady, the Goddess, the Divine Feminine, and their right to her. Those people are engaged in a revolutionary act. I mean, to pray the rosary and to become centered in your own heart and in your own life is to claim your right to a destiny other than what the culture wants you to have. Culture does not care about our heart's desires. It's not geared. Capitalism, communism, none of these systems of government, socialism, none of them are really geared to ask us what our heart's desire is and to help us to fulfill that.
And right now we're being asked, I think, to center ourselves there. This is, Our Lady has given us this moment, I believe, where are we going?
And what do you want?
And
I
what
feel
do we
like
want?
this is really this is the time she has asked many of us in our group this question before. A lot of our journeys began that way. What do you want? Right? Is
And
that the
how do we
angel?
collaborate with her? The way we collaborate with her
Right.
is by saying yes to the life within us that needs to be
Mm.
made manifest.
Only now she's asking our entire species this question. She's saying to our entire species across the earth, she's saying, what do you want?
You know, do we want, do we want a world that's reborn?
Yeah.
And
We
and
want a world based on cruelty and lack, and which, vast swaths of the population are forced to suffer for others who, live lives of relative ease. So,
so we begin with the Annunciation. And I'll go over again just before we end this video of the things to do. I would say it's like a compass. Do you remember those old compasses that children had?
there's
One.
an app for that now.
See, to make a circle go round, and you stick one point in the middle, and then you
Mm,
circle around it.
yeah.
The mystery is like the point we stick, and it sticks in a story we sort of know in Western culture
Yeah.
that we can begin to
We have a
tease apart.
literally a reference point. It's like Pretty said, that point of the compass, which we then trace the circle with, that is the mystery, the story we know. But it's just the points, not the
And
whole
I can't
circle.
get inside the mysteries of Isis. First of all, nobody really knows them anymore. They were secret. They weren't written down. The mysteries, the
Yeah,
Eleusinian mysteries,
yeah.
again, are problematical. I want,
Well, here's the thing. I think we do know what they were because they were smuggled into Christianity as the
That's
Rosary
right.
Mysteries, and so we do have a pretty good idea of what the Eleusinian mysteries were and the mysteries of Isis and
I never say
Osiris.
Eleusinian right.
Anyway, we do know what they are because our ancestors were wise enough to hide them in the Rosary. And they did this I think, very consciously. They could see what was happening with the Reformation, with the marginalizing of Mary, with the overthrow of the goddess and divine feminine, the rise of capitalism and the rise of corporatism. This was already starting at the end of the Middle Ages. They hid all of their secrets inside the Rosary.
And it begins with a woman without, in an act of audacious courage, defying the patriarchy, saying, I'm going to bring forth life on my own terms, in
Life
my
from
own
within
way.
me.
Life from within me.
Yeah, yeah,
And I stand for life.
right. Yeah.
So that where is the life within us? What life do we want to bring forth from within ourselves? How do we want to give birth to our own lives and to life in this world? That's the first mystery. We will see you next week to talk about the second mystery. Please post your questions, your pictures, your thoughts. We could write a 250-page book about this mystery. Go on and on about it. That's the thing. That's why we have people write for every single day about the mysteries.
Mm.
And every single person brings a different aspect and perspective to that story. So
Yeah.
please do keep, there's a daily novena post about the mysteries every day. And
Yeah.
this is a way of learning to tell our story in a circle instead of a
That's
line.
right. And because of the mysteries work in the rosary, you can never pray the same rosary twice.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. I mean, the mysteries are always fresh and new.
So, and there's a lot of fun to be had once you begin to know them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you, they're Danny Presserpine. That guy knows his mysteries, and I know because he said to me, "Oh, those fourth mysteries," and I said, "Oh my gosh, somebody else gets the secret of the fourth mystery." When you figure out the mystery of the fourth mystery, then we can really begin to talk. So that's it for tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks. Keep your comments coming, and thanks a lot, and have a good night. And join us on a Zoom meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock if you'd like.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.